When you think about the most pivotal figures of the 20th century, you've got to talk about Muhammad Ali Jinnah. He's a man who is, well, incredibly complex and deeply controversial. His story is one of a shocking transformation that literally redrew the map of South Asia.
And here's the thing that's so wild about his career. It's this huge paradox, right? On one hand, you have this guy who was celebrated as a champion for a united India. They even called him the ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity. And then, on the other hand, he ends up as the founder of Pakistan, the very architect of a partition that split those exact communities apart.
So how does that even happen? Seriously, how does one person go from being the guy for unity to being the symbol of division? That's the core question, and that's exactly the incredible transformation we're going to unpack.
All right, so let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning and look at Jinnah's early days and what he originally wanted for India.
So Jinnah was born in Karachi, to a pretty well-off family. He gets this top-notch Western education, studies law in London, which was a huge deal back then. He comes back to India, makes a big name for himself as a brilliant lawyer in Bombay, and then he jumps into politics. And where does he start? He joins the Indian National Congress, which was, the main group fighting for India's independence.
And you've got to understand, in these early days, the idea of him being a separatist, it was unthinkable. He was all in on a unified India. He believed in working within the system, pushing for independence through legal constitutional reforms. His big thing was making sure that minority rights, especially for Muslims, were totally protected inside that one single independent India.
Okay, so that's the vision, a unified India. But it didn't last. And this is where the story starts to turn. It wasn't like a switch flipped overnight. It was a slow burn, a gradual disillusionment as the political pressure just kept building.
This timeline really shows you how it all happened, step by step. Look, in 1913, he joins the Muslim League, but he's still trying to be a bridge to the Congress Party. But as we get into the 1920s, you can see he's starting to get, wary. Key events like the 1928 Nehru Report, which rejected separate electorates from Muslims, really deepened that distrust of Congress leadership. His path just starts to split from theirs, and by 1940, bam, the transformation is complete.
So what was driving all this? What was behind this massive shift? It really boils down to one powerful fear. Jinnah became absolutely convinced that in an independent Hindu-majority India, the political rights, the culture, the very identity of Muslims would simply not be protected.
And that fear? It didn't just stay a fear. It grew into something much, much bigger. It became a political demand that would quite literally change the course of history.
And this right here, this quote says it all. He argued that Muslims weren't just a minority within India anymore. No, they were a distinct nation, a nation that deserved its own state, its own homeland, where their identity and culture could be safe. This idea gets cemented, made official, with the Lahore Resolution in 1940. This is the big one. This is the moment where the idea of Pakistan goes from being a concept to a formal, concrete political demand. It became the single, non-negotiable mission of the Muslim League.
Okay, so you've made the demand. But as we all know, demanding something and actually getting it are two totally different ballgames. This next part of the story is all about the political fight. It took incredible strategy and just sheer unwavering will to pull this off.
And I mean, the political battlefield was fierce. You had Jinnah going head-to-head with absolute giants like Gandhi and Nehru, who were dead set against splitting the country. The British kept coming up with these plans for a united India, and Jinnah just rejected them, one after another. He held his ground. And through just incredible political skill, he transformed the Muslim League into a mass movement.
And then it happened. August 14th, 1947. After all the struggle, all the negotiation, his dream became reality. Pakistan was officially born.
But this victory, it came with a terrible, staggering price. The partition of India unleashed just horrific communal violence. It sparked one of the biggest, deadliest mass migrations in all of human history. We're talking millions of people forced from their homes or killed.
So Pakistan exists, and Jinnah becomes its first governor general. Now, finally, he has the chance to lay out his vision for this brand new country he fought so hard to create.
And this is where things get really complex again. In his very first speech to the new nation, the man who created a homeland for Muslims championed religious tolerance. He said everyone, Hindus, Christians, you name it, would be equal citizens of Pakistan. It's another one of those fascinating contradictions. But tragically, he never really got to see that vision through. He was secretly suffering from tuberculosis, and he died just over a year after Pakistan was created. It left this brand new, vulnerable nation without its founding father, right when it needed him most.
So when you look at his legacy, it's just completely split down the middle. In Pakistan, he's the Quaid-e-Azam, the father of the nation, an absolute hero. In India, for many, he's the man who broke the country. But one thing nobody can deny, he was an absolutely brilliant and determined strategist whose actions changed South Asia forever.
Which brings us right back to the central question, one that's still debated today. Was he a visionary who created a homeland to save his people, or was he a pragmatist whose single-minded vision led to a tragic and bloody division? It's a question history is still grappling with.